And welcome to this lesson on Excel tables. This is about as automated as it gets. Automating formulas, functions, formatting, filters, freeze panes, and so much more. So I have this data set in front of me. Very difficult to look at, very difficult to read for my constituents and employees. Let's go ahead and supercharge this using tables. So very simply, I'm going to format it using tables. So if I go over here to my Home tab, I'm going to click on Format as Table, and then notice all these preset formats. I'll go ahead and just choose this monochrome scale, and very simply, this dialog box pops up, and yes, my table does have headers. That's going to be important in a second, because now you'll notice how it makes it spotlighted and makes them look important because those are headers. Now, if I don't like this, I want to change it, very easily I can now go up to my Contextual Table Design tab and now make my changes accordingly. Let's go ahead and do this nice pretty blue and gray color. I like that. Now, within this same Table Design tab, I now have all kinds of other options here inside my Table Styles option group. Now, if I don't like these banded rows, I can very easily turn them off. If I'd prefer to have banded columns, I can very easily turn them on. If I don't want anything, I can very easily turn everything off. Now, I like those banded columns. It provides a little contrast and readability for all my users. Very good. Now we also have these other two options, first column and last column. Essentially, that's shorthand for Excel saying, would you like these to look like headers? Absolutely, I would. And my last column, absolutely, again, makes them stand out. Now, if I were to change this to something else, notice how it maintains all those different parameters within my options. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our total row options. We're going to move on to the automation of formulas. So if I click on total row, you'll notice that automatically now it adds on this new row called total. And then very easily when I click on this, I get a little drop down and it's going to show me all these different preset functions available to me. So let's just say I want to count these. Beautiful. Very easily, it's counted it. Now, if I went and remove these, notice how it's automatically updating accordingly. Let's go ahead and change that to something else. I'll go ahead and choose that average, and you can see, boom, just like that, it's going to make it an average. Now, if I want to make all of these an average, let's go ahead and just use my autofill, drag it across, and boom, just like that, it's taken all the respective numbers going across. Now, one thing you may have noticed already is that Excel by default automatically has now applied what we call a freeze pane on my data. So if we take a look up on top here, you'll see that I have January, February, March, etc. I didn't ask it to do that. Automatically, when you apply a table to your data, when you scroll down, it will then automatically take the column header, which is normally a letter, and when I scroll down, it essentially just absorbs those column headings to say what they are. That is beautiful. One of my favorite things and a huge time saver. Let's go ahead now go to the Structured References tab. And now I'm going to go ahead and convert this to a table, but this time I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut of Control-T. And that will then put the little bounding box around it. I click OK, and now that's a table. Now for this one, what I like to use is something called filters. Because you know what? I don't need to see all the reps here. Maybe I don't need to see all the regions here. I can very easily do a filter. Now automatically, my filter now appears. If you don't want the filter button, you can always turn that off. But I like that. And then for right now, just notice here, I can go over here to my reps, and then I can uncheck any of these, and boom, boom, boom. And now you can see I'm only seeing those. And that's really nice and built right into the filter button. Of course, you also have your sorting options. Let's go ahead and clear that out, because one thing I want to show you that's really cool is working with slicers. So slicers allow you to visually filter or do it in a more interactive way. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Insert Slicer, and this time I'm just going to choose Rep and Region. And when I click OK, now notice these little buttons appear, allowing me to accomplish the same thing I just did before with all of my filters, but now just doing it with these neat little buttons. So let's go ahead and just choose Blackwell, and now notice Blackwell shows up. Hernandez, okay, just Hernandez, just Lloyd. If I wanted to do multiple, very simply, I just choose this multi-select, and now I can do Blackwell and Lloyd at the same time, and Hernandez and Franklin beautifully. And then same thing with region. If I wanted to do that multi-select, I can make it do it however I want to accordingly. Now with these slicers, you also have additional options here with the Slicer Contextual tab. If I wanted to make this a different color, I can very, very easily do that accordingly, as well as add on different column numbers to allow it for a greater fit. And of course, all these can be moved around, resized as you like. Now, the last thing I want to talk about with tables is something actually called structured references. I'm going to go ahead and drag this over here, and then I'm just going to click over here inside of F8, and I'm also going to clear out my filter so I can see everything there. And now I'm going to add on a new column called commission. So I'll go ahead and type that out. And you'll see when I hit enter, it automatically updates all the formatting and everything. Another huge time saver. I'll go ahead and make that a little wider. Now, what is a structured reference? A structured reference is essentially going to allow me to apply a formula to one set of data, and it's going to automatically spill down that same formula to the rest of them. So a structured reference formula starts off the same way as every other formula does, with an equal sign. So I tap on that, and then very simply, all I'm going to do is click on the variables I want inside that formula. I click on my 10%, and notice how it takes in the column heading name, multiplied by, which is just an asterisk, times this guy. And watch this, when I hit enter, it automatically spills down. I don't have to worry about doing an autofill or doing anything manually. Boom, that's beautiful. And you can see there's my formula up on top. That's structured reference. All right, so very good. I encourage you to practice this and use it with your own data because tables are absolutely amazing.